Hello everyone, this is Darin Martineau from ProMagicArt.com, and today I'm going to share some my tips from my new book that I'm writing with Brian Smedley called The Master Magic University. And I'm just going to read some points here. I have 10 tips on magical performance, how to be a better performer. First of all, you want to use in acting, it's called blocking skills and performance and showmanship skills. You want to stand up straight and tall. You want to always remember to be self-confident. Self-confidence is projected to the audience. And you do this through a variety of ways that we're going to talk about. As a magician, you want to be mysterious and you want to be proud to be a magician. You never want to shy away from that. Watch videos of top professionals like David Copperfield, Jeff McBride, people that are master performers, and notice how they stand, walk, and perform with strong showmanship. That's tip number one. Tip number two, move naturally. That means to be natural, and that's not just in your slides and your choreography of motion, but that's in your overall body of staying relaxed while you interact with the audience. Audiences identify more with someone who moves naturally as opposed to stiff and or rigid or overly polished. Tip number three, use NLP techniques such as mirroring. What mirroring is, in NLP is called neuro-linguistic programming, and it's a communication skill. Darren Brown uses it to much success in his shows. When the audience smiles, for example, you smile, and when you smile, the audience smiles, vice versa. So be comfortable with your audience. Also make sure they're comfortable with you. We have to remember, you and I, we're not better than our audiences. Nobody is better than anyone else. Some people just have accomplished more things in life, have accomplished something that you haven't. Always have a friendly and professional attitude. Be neat, clean, and well-groomed. So we need to remember to not get overly influenced by magicians. We copy their qualities and the principles of magic rather than their original signature piece effects and their scripting and pattern. Okay, tip number four, never apologize. Interact with the audience, yes, but be professional about it and show them how much fun and pleasure it gives you to entertain them. Also, one of the best pieces of advice I got from Norm Nielsen when I performed my card act for him many years ago when I was working on it to get feedback from him. He said the number one thing is to be deliberate, and that means perform each magical piece effect or piece of magic as if that was the only thing you were going to do. So be deliberate in your performance. Okay, next tip, number five. Make eye contact. Look at the audience. Not anyone in particular, or you might get distracted, but you want to look out to your audience. You start, perform for the whole, speak to the person in the very back. Perform to the person in the very back row. So you want to look to the, kind of scan to the audience, to the left, to the back, to the right. You're not scanning all over, but you want to, perform for them and not at them. So know your magic well enough that you can do this so that it does not take your total attention and concentration in your gaze to perform it. That means master your effects so you can concentrate on your showmanship. Perform for the audience and not at them. Slow down and don't rush the performance. If you're nervous, take some deep breaths. Look for someone in the audience who is smiling and enjoying it, and play towards them. If there's some people in your audience that, you can't please everybody, you need to focus on the people that are going to appreciate you. Tip number six, smile. There are times to look mysterious during certain moments in effects in your magical routines, and there are also times to smile and use comedy. We can't take ourselves too seriously, right? When you smile at an audience member and look them in the eyes, they're drawn into the performance because they feel welcomed by you. Tip number seven, continue to teach yourself if no one offers to help you, okay? You do not want anyone who has become so completely cynical that offering help to another human being can only be bought or paid for in advance to help you anyway. When the time is right, God will provide you with the appropriate teachers and mentors in life. I've been blessed with some great mentors, Allan Ackerman and many other mentors in martial arts as well, such as Master Joshua Jackson and Grandmaster Jack Fu and several others. I'm also a martial artist, but we won't get into that. We're talking about magic, right? When someone does offer help, in whatever form that might take in your life, stay open to it. Tip number 8, use a practice audience for your stagecraft. You can do this by volunteering. You can go to the hospital, perform for sick kids. You can go to old age homes. I like to use old age homes to give back to the community and also to polish magic routines and try out new material. Even Darin Martineau and many other people, Jeff McBride, recommend that. Perform in the beginning as you want to perform as much as possible. But there's a catch to that we're going to go over right now. And that is preferably not family members or friends. Because in the beginning of magic, when you're just learning as a beginner, you do that because you don't have anyone else to perform for but family members and friends. We'll go into more detail on the difference between family member and friends. We'll start with family members because that's usually where beginners start. Okay? The difference between family member and friends. Between family members, friends, or anyone, no matter who it is, you don't want to use someone who's going to poke fun at the magic or be a magic killer and heckler and stuff like that, or just someone that doesn't like magic. Let's face it, not everyone likes magic. So I'll go into other details in my book where I go and I break down the different types of audiences. But what I'm talking about here is that family and friends, unless they are performers, they speak encouragements to you, but do not know what to offer by way of advice for what did and did not work for you and why. Because they're not professional. Let's face it, they're not masters, they're not experts. So if they're not going to think something is good or bad, they're not going to be able to tell you that. You've got to go to, you got to have the right person, an expert and or professional, a master, and sit down with you and give you consultation, or sit in the audience during your show and have them watch the audience for the reactions to your performance and to watch the impact of the effects. An audience is a perfect indicator for what works and what doesn't. But as a performer, you cannot be paying total attention to them, so have someone else do it. Most importantly, stay open to suggestions and do not take them personally. Mind the gold of what people have to say. Many of them want to help you, okay, if they're the right people in your life. Now, number 9, be sure to indicate to the audience when it is appropriate for them to applaud. Okay? It's one of the biggest problems with several incorrectly structured bad magic acts is that the audience never knows when to applaud, and for the most part, they don't. Many magicians get confused and don't even know why they don't get better reactions and applauses, standing ovations, and things like this. And that is because sometimes it's the music and or the timing, sometimes it's the effects, sometimes it's the presentations, sometimes it's a mix of things. It could be and or the music or the timing of the music, that it has not stopped long enough, or you as a magician have not stopped long enough. It's called breathing space, to indicate that applause is appropriate. Sometimes the performer can strike a pose as simple as extending with both arms out to cue the audience that it's okay to applause. These are important things. It's called showmanship. Now, number 10 is confederates. Now, many magicians, like David Blaine and Chris Angel, they use too many shills or audience plants. And the actual truth of it is that sometimes it's okay to use those, but they use it way too much. They abuse it. Sometimes in the right place, confederates can help in the method. Example, loading a signed bill in lemon or providing help in the methods. They could have one in the audience who's just a confederate, like in the 3-shell Monty that is the shill, but in this case, we're talking about performance magic, such as stage magic, street magic, or other things. In the right place, you can have a confederate of one or more audience members to provide humor and comedy in lines. I remember seeing many years ago a magician when it was Chappie Brazil actually, and he had me sit in the audience and be one of his confederates. And he told me at the right time, and he told me when to say it, when he's pushing pretending to push the cigarette up his nose, out of his mouth, in his ear, out of his mouth, he told me to yell out, "Now do it with it lit." So then he would actually light the cigarette, and then he had a special sleight of hand effect where he would take a lit cigarette and push it up his nose and pull it out of his mouth. He'd tongue back the cigarette. But the point is, Confederates in the right place can provide a lot of humor and comedy, exuberant applause. They can help you get more applause and more reactions. They can start the standing ovation. There's different things, but you have to be very careful that it's not so obvious that the Confederates are not so obvious that they spoil the effect, and do not, of course, abuse the principle of using Confederates too much. In the case of Criss Angel. Now, it's a lot of stuff to cover. This is just an excerpt from on magic performance tips from my new book. It's being co-written by Brian Smedley. So if you'd like to get access to over 58 free exclusive magic tutorials now, head on over to promagicart.com and click on the tab Free Magic and join. Put in your name and email and you can get access. You can see the curriculum. Right now I have over 500 effects and growing every day. So thank you very much and have a great day.